Hi everyone. So today I'm filming a Q&A video. It's where I take the previous 5 videos, get some questions from them, and try my best to answer them. MB, my niece, got these together for me. Haven't even had the chance to look over them, so I'll do my best to try to answer them. And I don't say this often, but thank you guys for all of the kind comments and questions you leave in the comment section of my videos. I appreciate it. It does not go unnoticed. And if you're ever in need of some positive energy or just some sound advice, check out my comment section. It's amazing what all is in there. Like, people have whole conversations about things, and it's just so encouraging and interesting. So getting into the questions, the first video is the Valentine's Day decor video. Linda Johnson says, what did you see as a child in your home? Did you see a mama that was creative? Did you just see how much prettier things could be? Interesting question. Mom was always fixing up things too. I mean, not the extent that I do, which I'm kind of extreme in that regard, but I remember, I grew up Amish, of course, so things were a little bit limited. But for an Amish home, I would say we had a really pretty home. Like, Mom was always, she'd decorate seasonally, just a little bit sometimes, and kept things really clean and neat. And she was really into gardening too. She still is, but she of course doesn't do as much anymore. But that's definitely where Marlene and I get our love of gardening from. And then as far as seeing, how did I see things? At the time I wasn't that interested in fixing up our house. Like, I always fixed up my room. I enjoyed, decorating in there. But that kind of came later on once I had my own home, like when John and I, had our little family, and it was a lot more fun to do it on your own property, I guess. And then did I see how much prettier things could be? I think that's, something I always noticed was, if I would paint this, or if I redo this or rearrange, it would look better. Maybe that's just human nature trying to make things prettier, but I definitely always kind of had the interest in that way. I always liked to make things. In fact, I remember some of my creativity I kind of let out through sewing. I learned how to sew at a really young age, and of course, being Amish, we made our own clothes. But I remember making things. Even one night I lay in bed and I just couldn't sleep because I kept thinking of this one thing that I wanted to make. So I ended up lighting my oil lamp, taking it over to the sewing machine in a different room, like in the sewing room, and I proceeded to make a pieced pot holder of all things. I don't know how that got into my mind, but I just, the instant I thought of it, I just had to take action right away. And I tried to sew quietly because I think everybody else was asleep already. And of course we had the treadle sewing machines then. It wasn't electric, so I wasn't really able to sew quietly. I think Mom had to come up and tell me to go to bed. But I just remember piecing this little pot holder, and I had in mind that's something I want to make. And I even thought I'd maybe make some to sell. I was always looking for little side incomes, of course. And I mean, now it seems kind of humorous, but at the time I was pretty serious about it. And I also remember as a young girl, we would, of course, again, we were Amish, so to have church, people would take turns in your community to host church. So we would have, church at all these different locations, and my favorite places were always the old farmhouses. I couldn't wait to go to church in those places because I would always like to just explore, and I would even notice like the wood floors and some of the planked walls and just different things about some of those old farmhouses that I'll never forget. Like, it almost seems like at that age already I enjoyed that, and it's kind of never left me ever since. I still like that look. I guess that got kind of long. The next question here is Kimberly Olson saying, when you were making your wood hearts, have you heard of using plastic wrap between your wood and paper? Then take the parchment paper and iron the paper onto the wood. The plastic wrap melts it together. It's so neat. I'll have to try that. See, I always like new ideas, and this is just an example of some tips and advice in the comment section. Paula Grove says, I love your popcorn cardigan in the video. Would you mind sharing where you found it? I would have to look and see what I was wearing. I'll try to either put it here on the screen when I edit or in the description down below. I'm not sure what I was wearing, but I'll gladly share it if I know where it came from. Erin Groff says, I was wondering why you didn't cut out your paper hearts on one of your machines. She's probably referring to either the Cricut or the Cameo. I had cut out some Valentine hearts out of paper, and honestly probably just a little bit too lazy to actually set everything up. I know that sounds terrible, but For me, it's just easier sometimes if I'm in a hurry to just, in this case, I trace the hearts and cut them out with the scissors. But yeah, I totally could have used one of the machines. And I know sometimes it can be quicker even if it takes more time for the initial setup. You know, once it starts cutting, it probably would have been faster. The next one here is, what do you and John do on Valentine's Day? We sometimes go out to eat, not necessarily on Valentine's Day, but maybe, a couple days before or after, just to kind of celebrate. And I know one year I had cooked a little dinner for us and just set up a romantic table for just the two of us. That was kind of fun. We haven't really talked about it, what we'll do this year. Amy MG says, how is the heat press different from a regular iron? There's a difference, trust me. I used to do my iron-ons with my regular iron years ago, and I spent so much time, pressing and ironing, trying to get it to stay put. I mean, it's doable, definitely. You don't need a heat press to iron something on, obviously, but it's so much easier. The Cricut company was kind and sent me one. Honestly, maybe I wouldn't even have one if they wouldn't have done that, but I'm so glad they did. I would definitely recommend it. It's just something with it's a larger surface, and you can just, it's easy to, it's kind of balanced. You can just kind of throw your weight in there and, press something down. And I like how you can set your heat like it stays the same. I'm not sure, does it actually, make or give off more heat than a regular iron would necessarily, but it's just the idea that you can, set your temperature, and then also you have that timer on there to kind of know how long you're pressing it for. Sandra Rivers says, you should give the visitors a ride on an Amish buggy around town. That would be fun. I guess it's not really a question, just a comment. I'm not sure if I could still do that. Like I used to do that, hitch up a horse and go somewhere with it, but I definitely wouldn't trust to do that anymore. And there is someone here in town in Berlin that actually does that. You pay for a buggy ride. I'm sure if somebody would want that experience, that would be a good place to try it. And here is the bottom comment. And like I often say, I get MB to put the bottom comments in too, because somehow the YouTube algorithm kind of sorts the negative ones, and often there's a negative comment on the bottom, like the last comment. I'm not sure how that works, but I always like to hear, constructive criticism. Sometimes it's not even that, but just keeps things interesting, I think, to kind of address some of the negative too. Dixie says, I lost count on the times you spammed me with all the influencer money scams. Geez, one I can handle, but the Amazon, the cabins, the Etsy, not you mentioned, just me stopping, not sure what she's saying there, but just me stopping my day to see what you're up to. Would you do your friends this way? I'm sad and really feel cheap and quite frankly used. Well, I'm sorry you feel that way. First of all, I consider all of you my friends. And as far as promoting things, I guess that's what you're saying here. First of all, the cabins, or the cottages, what we call them, are part of our business. And in this video, I was fixing them up for Valentine's Day. We're actually having a special during the month of February. We still have some dates left over in case you're looking to come to Holmes County, Ohio. But we have $50 off a night during the month of February. Details down below in the description box. But yeah, I'm going to talk about that on here along with the Etsy shop. That of course is our business. Like I'm going to promote. That's not all I'm going to do, because I enjoy, first of all, always trying to inspire people here on YouTube is my main goal. But I love the idea that I can kind of promote some of my products, the new products we have on Etsy, because I do have a passion about that too. I love the idea of getting decorations into people's homes, or sharing some of the soaps and the candles, and it's just a lot of fun. And as far as the Amazon links, for me, I actually kind of like that. If I'm watching a YouTuber and they're using a product and I'm kind of wondering where they got that, and I actually like if they say there's a link down below in the description box if you want this exact thing, because if I trust that influencer, I'm probably going to use that link because I know it's the exact same thing, and if they like it, I'll probably like it too. And at the same time, I love the idea that I'm helping them out, because I know how many hours and hours they spend on their videos, and if I can do that small thing by helping them out, I will definitely do that. So to me, that's not irritating. Obviously it is to Dixie here, but I know most of you don't feel that way out there, so I am thankful for that. And I don't consider any of that a scam. To me, a scam would be, first when I read this, I thought maybe she's referring to the actual scammer that has been in my comment section. You guys probably have seen that. I have warned you about it. Like, I never have giveaways or anything in the comment section, so if you get a message like that or a reply, it's not me. They're actually able to take my little profile picture from my YouTube channel, so it's going to look like it's me, but it's not. First I thought that's what she's referring to, because that would be a scam. If you're actually, like, the definition of a scam would be taking people's money and offering nothing in return. That would be a scam. The next questions are from the last month's Q&A video. The first question here is Jeannie Mitchell-Myers saying, Happy New Year, thank you. Do you think you will add more colors this year in your designs? Still kind of like my whites and neutrals. Kind of depends. I like to throw some greens and blues in, but I've learned already with selling things, especially, you know, repainting furniture, white is often what goes best. You know, I know that's then often what I show because I plan to sell it, but it's what sells best because it goes with anything. Beth Stone King says, you may have answered this in a previous video. Where is the barn that your parents must have had for horses and livestock? That is actually the brown shop that I paint outside of during the summer, like out on the driveway, just that ugly brown building. Nothing nice to look at, but that actually used to be our barn growing up. It was more of a, not quite your barn look maybe, but in fact, interesting fact here, we actually lived in that building for about 3 years as we were building this house here. So there was living quarters in one section and then kind of a shop, like just Dad's shop in the next section, and then on the end section there was just a tiny barn for 1 or 2 horses and some chickens, which we ended up having a chicken house down in the field at one point too, but that kind of slowly evolved to still the one section being a shop where I paint outside of that section, and then what we use as garage right now, for we can store like 3 vehicles in there along with some other things. That used to be the barn. And trust me, we have dreams of someday tearing down that building. It's not in the best shape, and of course it's rusty and rotted out some of the areas, but it still keeps things dry inside, so I guess it's still somewhat useful, but hopefully someday we'll figure something out with it. Trudy Basin says, have you mentioned before that your dad is an electrician, plus he is a car collector? Did all that happen after you all became Mennonite? Yeah, I guess I talked about him being an electrician. He's always been that, like even when he was Amish, he was an electrician. And as far as the car collector, of course, that was made possible once he was able to, you know, have vehicles. And I would say, I mean, this probably sounds weird, but there's a lot of Amish people out there that enjoy that sort of thing. Even if you can't have it, you can still enjoy it. So we would always, you know, if we were driving down the road, we would always notice, you know, classic cars. It was probably all of our interest, you know, always, even when we were Amish. So it just kind of opened up a whole new door then. I mean, that's not the reason we left, but it definitely has been a lot of fun. Chrissy says, curious, if we come to stay at the Cottages, is there any chance of meeting you personally? I'll even buy breakfast. Oh, that's funny. I would love to meet everyone that comes to the Cottages. If I somehow could, I would. And at the same time, I know sometimes if I go places, I kind of want to be left alone. Like I mean, I get it how some people would want to meet up, but others probably not. So, I mean, I guess to answer your question, probably not, because I have to treat everyone the same. And if I'd start doing that, I probably couldn't do other things, you know, that I'm doing. But trust me, it's not that I wouldn't want to. Pretty sure I'd have a good time. The Wood Chick says, have you and your family stayed in one of the Cottages? You know, so far we actually haven't. I know it sounds strange. I guess we were there so much last summer that we were just ready to have them rented out and finished and rented out. And we just never really got the chance to stay in one of them. Now I realize we still could and probably even will, but we just never got it done. And the bottom comment is, why would anyone want to vacation in Ohio? I almost have to agree with that. Although today the sun's shining, it's really rare to see the sun this time of the year. We've had a lot of gray days, but Ohio in general might be sound kind of boring, but in our little area here, Amish country, it's a hot spot for tourists. I know growing up, I used to wonder, even with that, like, why would people want to come look at us? You know, it just didn't make sense to me. But getting older, I see more, you know, people kind of like it seems like a slower pace of life maybe, and the farmlands, and it is quite beautiful here, especially during the spring, summer, and fall months. So I guess, yeah, to visit Ohio's Amish country to answer your question. Trust me, we get a lot of visitors. The next questions are from the nature soap video. Tina Webster says, has your niece always gone by the name MB? Do the initials stand for something special? Her name is Mary Beth. She's actually kind of named after me. I'm always kind of proud to say that. And she was born on the day before my birthday. So it's pretty neat. And she prefers MB. I know a lot of people still call her Mary Beth, but it's quicker to say MB, and I know being that she kind of prefers that is why I started calling her that. Cindy Gray says, do you find it relaxing to make the soap? I live not far from the mountain and can see it every time I leave home. Oh, I'm almost envious. I would always want to live somewhere mountainous. I think mountains are just beautiful. But as far as relaxing to make the soap, yes, I find it relaxing. I've said this before, but if I could drop everything else and just make soap, I probably would. I like it so much, but these days with everything that's going on, I don't always get to it. I'd love to do it at least, every day, just make some, but yeah, I just don't have the time. Gary McDade says, you and your husband must really be in good shape to hike on such rocky mountains. Do you still walk every afternoon down your lane at home? Yeah, we actually do a lot of walking and running. I started running this winter and I really like it. I've always enjoyed running, but I've kind of made a commitment to do it every day. And so most days I'll do that. And we have lots of hills around here, so I really like the cardio that I get, but I also like the fresh air most of all. Mike and Candace says, if you don't mind sharing, where do you buy the oils in big jugs and scents? I buy most of my soap making products from Bulk Apothecary. They're a really good company, and we're kind of lucky here in Ohio. They're about an hour and a half from our house, so I can do the free shipping and then just go up to get it, which I never do. John usually does, but thankful for that because it would be a really pricey shipping because we get lots of it. And then you go on to say here the Amazon link in your description doesn't work, and I'm glad for the reminder. I've heard this before and I just don't get around to getting it fixed. I need to do that. I apologize. I'll try to remember to fix that. Here is another question from someone in Maine, which I'm almost envious. I love that state. Our family has a camp on the backside of Cottage. Oh, how wonderful. The view is fabulous. Have you been there in October when the leaves are changing? It's beautiful as well. I would love to go there in the fall. I've seen pictures, never been there, so maybe one of these fall seasons will do it. And the bottom comment here just says, unfortunately sold out. So I imagine she's talking about the soap. It did sell out rather quickly, and I thank you guys for that. I hope you're enjoying it. I just love that nature soap. Once in a while I'm still making some. Of course it takes 4 to 6 weeks to cure, so it's not ready right away. The next questions are from the drop cloth curtains video. Kathy Robinson says, is it okay to have the cloth in direct contact with the baseboard heaters? Yes, that is not a problem in our house. Now ours don't get that hot. I don't know, I don't want to speak for everyone out there, but want to be careful. But yeah, we've never had issues. Even growing up, we still have the same heat system in here. Our curtains would always touch and it would be fine. Mary says, what are the measurements, the size of the drop cloths you use? I should have shared that in the video. I apologize for that, but they were 9x6 pieces. I think that's what Walmart has. And I didn't cut anything. I just hung the piece up the way it was. Patricia Reeps says, did you have to iron them? I did not. I mean, you could, but I kind of like that. Just a little bit crinkly, wrinkly look. I don't think they're too bad even, but I know some people would want them just really smooth, and then you'd probably iron them. Richie says, I think you should write a book, 101 ways to use a drop cloth or drop cloths that are not for painting. I like that idea because I love drop cloth and I rarely use it to paint with, actually. I was thinking about your video last year when you took your tree down. Did your son carry it up the stairs again, and did he have any trouble? Yeah, we had some issues. Was it last year? I think Ephraim had carried it up for me and kind of got stuck on the stairway, I think. But I think this year John carried it down for me. I never got a video of that, but it's nice to have guys around here to move those things for me. David Mitchell says, how does drop cloth hold up overall? I heard not to use it where it would get stained like a chair because it's designed to absorb stains like paint. Is that true? Huh, that is a good thought there. I never thought about that. I'm trying to think. I've used it. We actually had a cover on our bench here in the kitchen at one point that was drop cloth. I can't remember that I thought it stained. I mean, I was able to wash them out, I'd say. And then I've had a lot of pillows over the years, and No, I would say it holds up really nice. I don't think it absorbs stains that much. And the bottom comment is Barbara saying, sorry, but I'm not a fan of the pudding on the floor. The color is nice though. I guess that's opinion. I thought I wouldn't want more of it on the floor. Like, it was kind of a little bit extreme maybe, but I like to see a little bit of curtain on the floor. I just think it looks cozy. And the last questions are from the DIY tree that I had done. Snappy R says, where did you get those olive tree branches? They are so realistic. How long do you think they will last? I got those branches at Walmart, and as far as how long they will last, I've gotten them before, like years ago. I actually did a small, kind of more like a plant versus a tree, and they're still holding out nicely. I'd say, yeah, they probably last a long time, I imagine. I even had that one olive tree that I made. I had it out in my shed, which has bright sunshine all the time, and I don't even recall seeing any fading on it. The next question here is, will you be starting veggies or herbs from seed? I really thought about starting some seeds because I just get that urge this time of year, especially, because I haven't had a gardening fix in a while, and it would just be so much fun to get my hands in some soil. So we'll see. I'm not quite sure. I have the option of getting those little plugs that you can buy at like wholesale places that sell to greenhouses. Marlene and I were talking about maybe getting some of those, which it would just be a little sprout, the next thing to starting something from seed. I probably have more luck with that than starting from seed. Richie says, did you pre-treat the tree before you put on the fake branches for possibly any bugs living inside the stems? I did not. This tree or this branch was fairly green, so I don't think it wasn't like rotting or anything. I didn't even think about bugs. Maybe I should have. The bottom comment here is another no negative, no snow, it says. No, we haven't gotten a lot of snow this winter. I wish we would. We did have one snowstorm, was it last week or the week before? And I had full intentions of just posting a peaceful, snowy video with no words or anything on YouTube, because I thought, here some people probably never see snow. That would be kind of fun to watch maybe, but haven't gotten around to it. I may still do that, but just not a lot of snow this winter for us. Unfortunately, I always like, if it's cold anyway, it may as well look nice and white outside instead of some of this gray and brown that we have. So that's all the questions for today. Thanks for hanging out with me. As always, I hope your day is going great, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.